My name is James Towns. Um, I'm doing my research paper on the hearing aid costs and how government regulations could make it accessible to many people who really need it. Like, for instance, you have people who have mild to moderate hearing loss, but it's not the same as compared to somebody with severe to profound hearing loss. There's a big difference. Somebody with mild to moderate hearing loss, they're probably seeing a range between maybe 70 decibel loss at the most. Compared to somebody that has profound hearing loss, it could be probably like 90 decibels and probably even more. And my discussion was basically about how government regulations could change and make it accessible to a lot of people because you have different industries like the brand industry for a hearing aid cost is probably 3 times more than the FDA approved over the counter hearing aids, which is still high too. And my discussion is basically about how these manufacturers also have parts in insurance, and insurance only refer you specific hearing aids for different things like whether you have moderate, and then it ranges from the frequencies too, which I've just found out. And let's say like a pair of Phonak, the Paradise. These right here are 2014 Phonaks. These are my wife hearing aids. These have a decibel range of like plus 85 maybe, but you could probably program them to be more. Now these right here, during the time maybe like 6 years ago, these was probably about 3,500 for one pair. I mean, by one pair is one hearing aid. So you also have the molds, which they fit in your ear. It's just like if you was to go to the dentist. Now, your insurance will cover these, which I feel like these are just as important as the hearing aid itself, because I mean, this is basically noise cancellation. Um, so you got hearing aids with the industry brand that can range from 5,000 to maybe $8,000 for one hearing aid, and maybe a over the counter you would probably have. Let's see, Bose. You will have Bose. They will probably be about $999, and that is for people with moderate hearing loss, because those only can range to like plus 35 decibels. And my main reason for getting into this for my research is because my wife suffers from profound hearing loss, and I know the battles that she's had with getting hearing aids, and it is probably many more just like her that they need these products. Like, this is just like me with my glasses. I mean, without my glasses, I probably couldn't drive. And for you to have this small group of manufacturers of these are like important hearing aids, because the Phonax, the Nadia Paradise, and the Otacons can reach ranges to plus 90 dB or 83 decibels. And that is a range for somebody with severe to profound hearing loss to bring their decibel range to zero. So it'd be just basically like they'll be zeroed and leveled out in hearing. And to charge somebody $5,000 to $8,000 just for one, I think that is kind of pretty steep. And even with the over the counter, you probably will never reach a range probably more than 40 decibels. And they're charging you 2,000 for that. So I got this chart right here because I come from a music engineering background. Let's see if I can get this right. It's basically the dynamic range of sounds and frequencies. Let's see if I get this right. Matter of fact, I could just move this up. All right, so right here you have your ranges from, let's see if we can sharpen this up. I'll tell you what, this is what we'll do. Apologize. These are your ranges for hearing loss. As you can see, profound hearing loss is negative 91 plus decibels because it can go higher. My opinion, because you got these, now I got them separated by the industry versus the over the counter. And these are the industry standards right here. You see you got the ReSound 1 and they're from 75 to 90 decibels. Sorry for my handwriting. Audicon More is 70 to 85 decibels, and this is the Phonak Paradise, which is the brand that's increased from my wife's brand, is 75 to 83 decibels. In my opinion, the prices, and I apologize, I did not write down the industry prices, but you will probably be looking at double or triple the price of the over the counter. Now, being in music, it's funny is because that's how I got into IT. This what you have right here. Basically, dynamic range and frequencies and gains. So on the audiogram, they will probably have it somewhere similar to this, where you got, I don't know, I put 20, 80 hertz. You got 20 hertz, 80 hertz, 250 hertz, which is the lows and the mids. Now that's probably like between that and 6 kilohertz. That's like your dynamic range of sound, like the broader sound. But you got this part, which is the brightness. Now this part is tricky because it's not actually sound. It's just basically the air, where you see you got air here, and it's the brightness of the air. Then you got the mid to high range. Now you got these things right here we call slope filters. For these knobs right here, which is basically a decibel octave, is how you can expand and slim frequency range. And like, let's say this one is a high pass filter, you would basically be cutting off from your, I apologize, on a high pass filter, you'll be cutting off your lows, but it will be bypassing the highs, and it's vice versa for the lows. Now I know this doesn't have anything to do with the assignment, but it does kind of actually. So now you got compression where you basically compressing the sound range from the smallest sound to the biggest sound. So like let's say a 3 to 1. So if you're 3 decibels above, you know, the range of the threshold that you set. I don't know why I wrote that. Did not write that down. You can bring anything 3 decibels above below. So like in music, for instance, that'll be, in my opinion, anything that's probably between 10 kilohertz and 80 hertz. Because anything out that range is not technically sound, but it can interfere. Which, you know, dealing with music, you're trying to basically mix to get your sound quality for that range that you want to be in the track or in the music or whatever. So these are my alternatives based off of what I was, of my knowledge with the music background. I apologize again. Now, I was challenged on the eBay because they do have this thing on eBay where you can basically get a pair of refurbished hearing aids, and if you was to send, but by law you have to send an audiogram. They could probably is you could. They say that you will be able to get them programmed to that audiogram, but I was challenged with a counter argument, basically like, how do you know if it's legit? Do they have any professional audiologists that's actually programming these things? And then who are you sending your information to? So that was shot down. So I have another alternative, which is, this was a project of mine's without, you know, the hearing aids and all, but it came up with the idea based off the music EQ, where you have these different things like Pulse Audio, DAWs, digital audio workstations. You got these different things that you can manipulate the sound ranges. Now on a computer, you could raise your decibels as high as you want them, but it's like, okay, so what about portability? Well, that's where you got the Raspberry Pi. This is basically a mini computer, probably the size of my hand. They can range from 16 to 8 gigs of RAM, which is pretty good for a digital audio workstation if you're just using it for just real-time sound. So it ranges from $75 to $90 for that, and it uses the SD card for the basically the hard drive itself, and you'll be able to get a LCD screen, touch screen, probably maybe 2-3 inch screen, and you are able to plug that screen, and it's a touch screen, into the Raspberry Pi motherboard itself. Now, as far as building a case, you can get files, blueprints, or you could send a file basically for the build. They got plenty of those online. So with this being $30, you get some wired earbuds, $15 to $50. Mini USB mic, find the highest decibel range. They got plenty of mics out there that I've seen before that has 10 or 15 plus, on a microphone itself. But at the same time, you got to understand you're manipulating the sound through the DAWs and the sounds programs. So you can always increase your decibel range. And that also being good is because you can use a parametric EQ basically which I forgot to explain these. With this one, this is a peak filter. We got the brains of the operation. It can expand or close any range you want to set it. So let's say if you want to get a crisp sound in that 1 kilohertz, you can increase just this range. Let's say if you want to go from here to here, and this is 0. So if I want to bring that with the peak filter, I could bring that range of sound, and it's basically what the hearing aids does. Is the exact same thing as the audiogram. And if you were able to use this and this to get ranges like this, I mean, look at the price. You got 75 to 90 plus $10. And yeah, pay for more RAM. They got you could get gaming SD cards that's very good with the cache speed and all that stuff. And then you got the LED screen, $60 to $90. So this two right here, this is $200 right there, and you only got a mic. I didn't even put a price there, but you're not gonna a small mic with plus 20 dB. Like I said, you're doing the sound manipulation in the program itself. So with that, and probably maybe not even $400. And this is probably going to be part of my project with this. Like I said, I was building it separate, but if I'm able to do this could be something groundbreaking to me, in my opinion. I mean, being somebody with 10 plus years of sound manipulation is not sound manipulation with hearing aids, but if you look at the audiogram and you look at this, it's basically the same thing. You got your hertz, you got your kilohertz, you got your gain. And that range is where that gain is lost. You could bring that back. It's basically EQing. So if you was able to EQ with this and a mini mic with a wired earbud, and who knows, maybe you could get a mode put on the end of that earbud for extra cancellation. But the problem that it should be is government regulations. Like, in my opinion, hearing aid prices are ridiculous. And for people that really need them, you shouldn't be trying to charge anybody like $2,000 for half of the decibel range that would even put them at 0. I mean, they're still at a disadvantage because that's like manipulated range. So even with the hearing aids, they aren't hearing the full dynamic range of sound. So it's basically like they're still lost. They're just getting a boost of sound amplified. And a cheaper version is a cochlear implant, which I feel like to put something in somebody's head, it doesn't make sense to put something in their head compared to just giving them a hearing aid. And it's like probably a third of the price to just get the cochlear implant. I'm sorry. But this is my discussion. I did want to do another part later on today where my wife has profound hearing loss, and my friend, his mother-in-law has severe hearing loss, and I wanted to break down these charts in front of them and see what they thought. And I also wanted to discuss these as another alternative. These are what you call, I guess, AI glasses, and they have the screens on them. They kind of dirty to my wife. All right, let's see. If you can see up top, that little box, you can set this to your phone, and it does real-time text. I want to see if I can turn them on right quick. They kind of cool though. If you look at, new tech stuff. I'm kind of into tech big, so let's see. I apologize, but as you can see, these things have words that pop up on them. It's probably better if you could wear them. But yeah, another alternative. And you could see us in real time. Let's see if I can turn these things. Well, these were 600, I think. I think they died. Yeah, $600. And not only that, they have GPS on them where you could put the GPS navigation on them. It's in green, but I mean it's early tech, and for $600, you could get your messages to pop up. It's basically everything in your phone, besides like maybe movies and YouTube and stuff. But yeah, I think these are good alternatives. But a better alternative would be for government regulations. It shouldn't be that much. But this is my research paper, hearing aid prices. Hopefully, if I can, I will still do that with my wife and my friend's mother-in-law. But yeah, thank you.